Hello, and welcome to Spoiler Alert with April, the podcast where we talk about famous endings of various media and whether you love it or you hate it. You can rate your media as a whole, share your hot takes, and discuss what you want on this podcast. This week's episode, we have Better Call Saul with Billie Holiday.
Hello, I'm Billie Holiday.
He's my boyfriend. So he's doing this out of his will. Anyway, so for Better Call Saul, if you don't know what it is, it's pretty much the prequel to Breaking Bad. It's mainly a prequel. There is stuff that happens afterwards, but we're just going to say it's a prequel for right now. But technically it is up for debate. And it aired February 8th, 2015, and it ended August 15th, 2022 after 6 seasons, and they have a total of 63 episodes. Okay, now Billy, it's time for you to start talking. How would you describe Better Call Saul to like someone who has never watched it?
It's about a lawyer, and the lawyer isn't so nice. No. At first you think he's gonna be nice, but then he's not nice. And he turns out to actually be mean and evil and a con artist, the worst of them all. So it follows the downward spiral of Jimmy McGill as he becomes Saul Goodman and how he kind of drags everyone down around him. Despite him constantly saying he's going to get better. Kind of like a gambling addict, but without the winning money.
I mean, yeah, I would say that. He goes through a lot of up and downs. Okay, so let's get started on the whole show as itself. Okay, hun, let's say, who are your top characters? Like your favorite ones. We're not going to question about morals or anything, just interesting to watch.
My favorite characters in the show, definitely gonna have to go with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. I liked whenever Kim was being a little scumbag.
Well, yeah.
Howard is extremely funny to watch. I like them just messing with him for the entire last part of his life. And the two skater dudes from the pilot,
from the first
they're
episode?
Pretty cool. Yeah.
The scammers.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about your not your most favorite, your least favorite? Like people who were boring or you thought they didn't bring much to the table?
I would say that one guy who bought the pimped out Hummer. I can't remember his name. But he went on one job, bought a pimped out Hummer, and then Nacho went and robbed him, so he went and snitched to the police because Nacho stole his baseball card collection.
What? I do not even remember this. What episode was it?
It was just like a multi-episode thing. He was like a side character. Jimmy had to talk to him about... he had to save him by saying that he was a cake squatter, and that was what was stashed away in his hidden hiding places, videos of him squatting on cake.
Well, all right. That's a new one, at least that I heard of. Okay, so we're talking about Better Call Saul because you picked it. So what do you like about the show? What do you think was like the main yes, other than the fact that it was associated with Breaking Bad?
I really like the not transitions. What are they called? Collages. What are they called? You know, whenever like a fighter is training, and like it's like just all the camera shots of him training before his big fight. Yeah, the montages.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really, really good in the show. I also really like their use of color.
Yeah.
It's a very colorful show. And Jimmy wears a lot of really colorful suits.
And color really, it's an important thing for the story too. Like
Yeah.
how life is going is associated with the colors because it's in black and white for his like new life that he absolutely hates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also shows in the show, he starts off with like very bland and drab suits. And then whenever he starts scamming, he gets these really bright, unprofessional suits,
Yeah, that's when he
like that are
becomes
in
Saul.
pinks and purples, and it shows his little scammer side.
I hate how it's because like scammer side though. I genuinely think that people should be wearing like brightly colored suits.
Well,
Most
of course.
most of the time if someone has a good suit on and it like looks trendy, it has a pop of color. So I hate that standpoint, but I understand that.
Well, this show took place in like 2003. People weren't creative back then. Creativity hadn't been discovered yet.
True. Okay. So, what do you think is the best arc in the show? Do you know what I mean by when I say arc?
Yeah. I think the best arc is either the whole switching up the address arc
Ooh,
where Chuck goes crazy because he
that's
switched
great.
the number. Either
Yeah.
that or the last arc whenever everything's falling apart and they figure out Lalo is alive.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I think I love near the end of Chuck's like reign. Well, it's spoiler alert. So, also spoilers, I guess. But right before Chuck dies, it's so great. I think it's I think it's so amazing like the downfall of everything and the way that they genuinely don't care.
You have just a hatred for Chuck.
No, because I mean we'll get onto it, but like I don't there's a reason that Saul Goodman became Saul Goodman, and it's a lot of it is on Chuck. I wouldn't say all of it, but a good amount of it is because when he was genuinely trying to be a good person, Chuck kept bringing him down all the time. He needed to at least be like, well, okay, and maybe stuff would have been different. At least that's my opinion. Because if you don't have your parents, you're the oldest one, and you keep telling your brother, who's pretty okay, that he's a piece of shit, that he's gonna fucking lose it, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my thing with Chuck. I'm like, bro, he could have been more. Like, this is not your fault, but this is kind of your fault. Okay. So we're gonna hit onto our first segment of the show, and that is going to be our guess the highest rating episode. So, for the people who are listening, I'm gonna give our guest here time to guess the rating of the 5 highest rating episodes / chapters, whatever media we're talking about. So, because we're talking about Better Call Saul, Billy has to guess the top 5 episodes ever. We're going based off of IMDb, by the way, in case you kind of know how they are. But, so, pull up a list or whatever. It's 6 seasons. There's like a total of 63 episodes, so there's a good amount. So, guess what you think is the highest rating, and I will give you one hint if you need a hint for something. Because it is a lot of episodes. You picked a pretty meaty series.
All right. So I'm going to guess the highest rated episode is Bagman.
Badman?
Bagman.
Bagman?
Yeah.
Which one's that one?
It's the one where he has to go out into the desert. And he's stuck out in the desert for like days with Mike.
Oh, right. Huh. I forgot that. They're stuck in the desert. Okay.
Yeah. And it's what kind of leads to a lot of the downfall.
That's your number one?
Yeah.
Okay. What's number 2 then?
Saul Gone.
Saul Gone?
Yeah. I think that's the last episode.
Yeah, series finale. Okay.
Chicanery.
Chicanery?
Yeah, that's where Chuck goes crazy.
Yeah, it's the Chuck episode. Yeah.
Point and Shoot.
Point and Shoot for number 4?
Yeah, that's the one where Howard dies.
Yeah. That was a pretty... Wait, is that the one where Howard dies at the end? Or is it like the start of like, oh shit, Howard just died?
I'm pretty sure it's where Howard just died.
Okay.
Other than that,
you still got one
trying
more?
To think.
Which one? What do you think?
I'm gonna guess Marco.
Which one's that one?
I think that's the one where he goes back home and does the scam with his old friend.
Oh, is that the one that made me cry? I made me bawl my eyes out.
Off of one line that he said.
Yes, it was delivered in such a sad and pathetic way. Like, you're supposed to have pity on him, and it worked with me like a charm. I bawled my eyes out. That's so sad. Like, how are you going to be doing crappy little scams and say that was the best, like, week you've had, period, as you're dying? Oh my god. You lived such a sad life. Okay. Well, you got a few on the list. You did get a good few on the list, but you only got one right.
Oh, was that Bagman?
It was not.
Oh, it was not.
Actually, okay, I'm gonna go from 5 down, okay? From the number 5 most rated episode is season 3, episode 5, Chicanery. So that was number 5. Okay. Number 4, all the rest of it all in season 6.
Makes sense. Season 6 is pretty good.
So, number 4 is Rock in a Hard Place.
Okay.
And then number 3 is Point and Shoot.
Okay.
Okay, number 2 is Saul Gone.
Okay.
So that was the one you got right. You got the right placing. And number 1 is Plan and Execution.
Oh, okay.
So it's the one before, like, it's the downfall of Howard, and he's like, it's that episode where they just keep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would not have expected that episode to be number 1.
No, it's the highest rating one. It got a score of IMDb. It was 9.8 out of 10.
Wow.
Like.
Yeah, I would not have expected that one. I would have everyone talks about Bagman. I thought Bagman would surely be up there.
Yeah, Bagman's not on this list. And that was a good, like, they were desperate in that episode. That was a pretty good episode. Like, costume-wise, makeup-wise, too. And just the pairing of how they were.
It just stuck out there, man.
Yeah. So, but you did good, though. Like, you got a good few. But yeah, number 1, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't really read into why. I just accepted the rankings because I don't want to yap about, like, costumes and all that stuff. I don't think people are going to want to hear all that. But anyway, so now that we're done with that segment, let's go back to kind of another way where, Hun, what's the most frustrating arc in the show? What do you think it was?
Like, what do you mean by frustrating? Are you talking about, like, the show purposely made it so it frustrated me, or is, like, the worst arc?
I would say just worst arc. Like, something that was like, bro, what? Like, you didn't understand it. Like, just worse.
I would say I understand why everything in the show happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it would have started faster.
Started faster?
Yes. I understand they have to like explain why Tuco is going away, and it sort of leads into everything. I just wish they would have done that faster, so that we could have moved into the show more.
Yeah, true. It did have a slow start, but I feel like a lot of shows are like that right now. It kind of pisses me off.
Yeah, but I don't. If you look at its predecessor, Breaking Bad, that show gets off in the first episode.
True.
It gets off its feet and it starts running.
You figured it
Better
out,
Call Saul doesn't really like. It's a very gradual progression into the second season, and then it starts going.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So the next question is supposed to be like what do you think you could talk about directing, costumes, anything that you know about backstage stuff. Hopefully you pay attention to whenever I'm talking about. But what do you think was a bad choice on their part? Like, what's something that you would have liked to seen go another way, or a shot that was weird, or something that like left a that's weird like idea in your head?
I genuinely don't know. This is like one of the most creatively shot shows.
Yeah, it is a really yeah, it's a pretty unique one out of all of it. I was like, yeah. And also you kind of said it of how you don't take off running in this show.
Yeah.
That also kind of counts. That's a creative choice that they did, especially since if you're watching Better Call Saul, you saw Breaking Bad. So the audience definitely has an ability to figure it out more quickly.
Yeah.
What is your hot take on Better Call Saul?
Lalo did nothing wrong. Everything he did was perfectly justified.
What do you mean everything?
He's not the villain.
What do you mean everything he did was justified?
Everything he did was justified.
No, you have to explain it. You're on a podcast, sir. You gotta explain. You gotta make your case.
So firstly, when he had to hire Saul to get out of jail, that's just a necessity. All right. So everything up to that point, he's not necessarily doing anything brutal. Up to that point, he's acting like a crime lord should.
But he's a crime lord.
Well, okay.
Yeah, true.
That's what he was born into. He was a Salamanca. Did he have an option?
Ooh, you make a point actually on that one. You cooked thy fear, actually. Hold on. You cooked thy fear. But like, I think that ooh, you made a point. Because one of the things that kind of frustrated me on how they didn't want Saul to take it is the thing of he has a right to a lawyer, no? So
I mean, he does.
So someone had to take that case. I don't get why all of a sudden they were treating Saul like a huge villain for taking it. Because he's going to get a lawyer eventually. I guess they had a point of like, well, why Saul specifically? But like, if he had cash, like, he was probably going to be Kim or something.
Probably because it wasn't. They assumed that all the money he was getting paid with was dirty money because he's not doing pro bono work. He's not doing just basic defense lawyer work where the court pays you. Which I don't know.
But like, my point still stands if he eventually needs a lawyer. Someone was going to do it.
Yeah.
Some poor soul had to deal with him, and it just so happened to be Saul because he needed cash, bro.
Yeah.
Like, well, what you gonna do? Okay. So, I guess that counts as your hot take. But we are going to start on this next segment where I read out all these hot takes about Better Call Saul. And Billy here has to agree, disrespectfully disagree, and just go off. So some of the stuff is from Twitter, some of the stuff is from Reddit, some of it's on just like boards. I just kind of went all around. So don't ask me any specifics. Okay. But we're going to start strong on this one, on this first one. This hot take says that Saul Gone is the worst finale for Better Call Saul.
Okay.
And it also counts as the worst season finale. Is that all the other season finales were better than Saul Gone.
Okay. They just put that out there. There's no qualifier for that?
No, they just said it's the worst one. That's all I got.
What rage bait. It's like, I mean, I disagree pretty heavily, I'd say.
Well, like, there was, like, a thread on it that I remember, and, like, they did, like, try to explain it, but I think person just was pretty underwhelmed, I guess. Okay.
I don't know. It's a fairly weird finale, so I can understand if you don't like it. But at the same time, it does tie everything up fairly perfectly.
Yeah, everything is... There's some stuff that, like, is implied, but I'd say that's about it. Okay. Howard's death was pretty disappointing and wasn't at all needed for the show.
It was absolutely needed. That is the tipping point.
I was gonna say, that's what drives Kim being like, I'm terrible.
Yeah, we've become horrid people.
Yeah.
That's
like the
that
whole
is
thing.
the thing that sort of premeditates and shows the kind of business Saul is getting into.
Yeah.
And it's important for his character for him to actually see that and face that and just say, oh no, I'm going to continue doing this.
Yeah. It shows
like, disrespectfully disagree.
Yeah. Okay, the next one. I don't know. You may get heated on this one. Lalo is the most boring villain in the whole series of Better Call Saul plus Breaking Bad.
I mean, I disagree. I think Tuco is the most boring.
Yeah, I get Tuco was like crazy or whatever, but I think
there's a reason he's around for the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. He's a fairly interesting villain. He has all these eccentricities in him. Mm-hmm. He's fairly crafty. I mean, he's on the level of Gus. Gus can hardly outsmart him. And it looks like Gus is going to lose the entire time. And Gus is apparently the smartest person in the meth business.
Yeah. And, like, he's a big bad for a reason, you know? And he shows it, too. Like,
he presents himself to be a valid threat.
I remember when we saw a point and shoot hunt, I remember us going, for so much of Lalo's stuff, too. So I don't get how you could say, I don't understand what the person means by boring, like, at all, actually.
No, he is absolutely not boring. I would say that the showrunners actually prevent him to be probably scarier than the other villains that have been shown. Like, more of a threat simply because he can pop out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, I think he was more like, he wasn't much on a leash. So I guess you could maybe say, oh, plot armor, but also kind of no, because it makes sense. Like, we're talking about, like, heavy drug lords and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't understand that. Okay. This one is Howard deserved every single thing that happened to him.
Oh no, might have could.
No, because
he was kind of I mean, I don't know. He was kind of he didn't. Let's be fair.
He didn't. He didn't deserve to die. Exactly.
Well, no, but he also kind of didn't deserve his life getting ruined because.
True. The drug stuff was crazy.
He really didn't do anything at all to Jimmy. It was all Chuck, and all Howard did was take the blame for it.
Yeah. So, like, I get that. I guess Howard was a pretty, like, not fun or, like, pretty much like a dick. But also, what they were doing to, like, blow up his life was crazy work. That's insane. Like, drugs and everything.
Some weird hatred for him, and I don't know what the hell that was from.
Yeah, because it was like a weird hyperfixation. Like, all of a sudden, they just wanted to destroy everything about him. And poor dude was already going through a divorce.
The only thing that, like, he did that was remotely just awful was putting Kim permanently on, like, desk duty, paper duty.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
Like, he would be petty.
Was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed more petty.
By no means did he give them fucking reason to just ruin his life. Like...
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next one is kind of... They said it was a hot take, but I'm not quite sure. I think it makes sense. They cooked on this one, I fear. Nacho... Okay, it's... Nacho is a bad person and should not be seen as a martyr type of character.
Oh, absolutely. He's a fucking awful person.
Yeah, he's an awful person. He just happens to care about people still. Or a few people still. Yeah.
It just so happens that the showrunners actually put quite a few scenes through his eyes.
Yeah.
So that people are able to empathize with him. He had so many opportunities to get out of the drug business.
But he just didn't.
Just go live a simple life with his dad, but he refused to.
Yeah. He was very materialistic and very... Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why he did the stuff he did. Like, I don't know. And also when he died, I was so sad. But, like, yeah, he's not a good person. Like, that's just how it is. I didn't know people saw him as, like, a weird type of martyr thing. I definitely didn't pick that up. It was just a bad person, but he happened to be a character we saw a lot of stuff happen. And he was the reason about Salamanca, the main one. He's the reason why he's, like, very disabled now in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So, I forgot his name for some reason. Okay. So, the next one we're going to talk about is the last one. And it's this person saying that they prefer the episode to focus more on Nacho, Gus, and Lalo, and did not like many episodes that focus on Mike, Kim, and Chuck.
Okay.
So pretty much...
Who are the first few?
The first few is Nacho, Gus, Lalo. So pretty much villain.
Okay.
Heavy villain episode is, yeah.
No, they just don't like white people. Did you not notice everyone they said it didn't like is just white?
Well, yeah, but like...
They just don't like white people, man.
I mean, I guess, but they didn't...
Feels bad, man. No, well, even if you say it's not, it's like they don't like villain-centric stuff. Mike still isn't a good person, and he still acts villainous.
Yeah, true.
And so does Jimmy. I mean, Mike can be outwardly violent. If they just like the outward violence, then, like, Mike can be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand not necessarily liking Chuck as much due to how neurotic he is at times.
Yeah.
But, I feel like...
But also, I kind of agree on Kim. I feel like sometimes Kim could be very boring, too.
Yeah.
I feel like she
I can understand that, too. But I don't know. I just really like the story that develops with Saul. The person whose story I care for the least in this show, this is another hot take, is Mike's.
What?
Yeah. Not to say I didn't like it, but...
You thought it was the most boring?
Yeah, Mike's story?
Bro, that's wild. That is a wild take, in fact. What the hell? What do you mean? Well, I like Mike's story because, like, it shows, like, a bit more of what he thinks and it makes sense for his character. Something about seeing his story clicked for his character for me. So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Like, all of it made sense. Like, all was clear now. I can see clearly now the rain is gone type of way.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't think he was put in the best scenes. Like, not a lot of them are the most memorable to me.
Bruh.
Okay. That's a wild, in fact, but I guess we shall digress. But we are coming near the little end. We're on our last little leg, all right. So for the finale, Better Call Saul came to a natural ending. They didn't cancel it, obviously, with these high-ranking friggin' numbers. But Hun, can you tell us, do you think the finale holds up? Do you think Saul Gone holds up for the entire show? Is it a good finale?
I think it's first important to point out that the show has two finales. One is Saul Gone, which is the grand finale, and the other one is, I believe, I think it's like an episode or two before it. Fun and Games.
Fun and Games.
Which ends everything for Mike and Lalo and Gus and everyone else in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And also breaks up Kim and by now his name is Saul.
Yeah. Right. It has the ending of like the prequel stuff, and then it has its endings of the after Breaking Bad stuff.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good use of that sort of duality the show has, where some episodes are in the future and others are in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think Saul Gone does a really good job to show that Jimmy has actually changed a lot. He's finally seen the light and seen that, okay, maybe being this vindictive Saul guy isn't necessarily the best for me.
Yeah.
And in the end, it pretty much starts out where it did in the beginning, smoking a cigarette on a wall.
Yeah.
With Kim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I also like how, I think you're the one who told me this, of like the whole, there's only 3 ways that crime endings happen. You get away with it, you go to jail, or you die.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense for Saul to be the one who ends up going to jail.
Yeah.
Like, lawyer, he's in jail now. He was like he actively thrived on so many bad things happening. He depended on that stuff for some reason. So
he took advantage of the justice system, and the only person who should punish him for that is the justice system.
Yeah. It was a nice little, like, screw you. It makes sense. It makes more sense for Saul to go to jail and, dying. It had to go through those two. And so by default, Jesse got away with it. And obviously I'm going to say Jesse should have gotten away with it.
Yeah, he was one of the few good guys in the
he just
little Vince Gilligan universe.
Yeah, he just needed some money, man. Okay. Well, do you think the finale fit with the show in general? Or the finale?
Yeah.
Like everything made sense about it?
Yeah, it did. It carried over, and it was a satisfying ending, I would say.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. So I'm guessing that you give it an A+ ending. You don't think you got anything to say about the finale or anything like that? Any last words about it?
I don't. I hate that he was bald and didn't have a mustache in the ending. But that's about it.
Oh, it's just that. Okay. Well, next we're gonna have our little final segments as we wrap up. Spoiler alert. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, IMDb, what do you think the Saul Gone thing got? Oh, well, I guess I already said it. So if you remember, just say it again.
It was like a 9.8.
Yeah. Do you agree with that? Or do you think...
Yeah, I do. It's really good.
Alright. So, next we're just going to go the official rating of the series. Hun, on a scale 1 to 10, what would you give the rating for Better Call Saul?
I'd give it like a 9.5.
9.5?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got 2. I got IMDb and I got Rotten Tomatoes because I saw the score that Rotten Tomatoes gave it and I got really surprised. Okay, so IMDb gave the series a 9 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
So you rate it higher. And Rotten Tomatoes gave the series as a whole a 98%.
Nice.
So damn near perfect scores. Okay. But also makes sense because I actively say this. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. But I think I like Better Call Saul like 10 times more than Breaking Bad.
That is a hot take. It's such a hot take.
That is such a hot take. Do I have to boo myself?
Yeah, you should boo yourself.
I have to boo myself, okay? But like, I don't know. I liked it more. I can't even tell you why. I bet like if I watch it again, like I could tell you about like directing and all that junk. But I just liked it 10 times more in an audience perspective. I appreciate Breaking Bad in like a directing type of perspective, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see it. But audience perspective, 100%. I love Better Call Saul 10 times more.
Yeah. I don't know. That's probably because it has to do with characters a lot more than Breaking Bad, which is weird to say because Breaking Bad is such a character-driven show.
Yeah.
But it indulges a lot less in like the flashy spectacle of violence.
Yeah, true. It was just very gruesome. And maybe that's why. Like, I don't care about much of that stuff. Like, I get it for a story standpoint, but if you're just gonna do a whole bunch of violent stuff, it's not gonna do much for me, bro.
Yeah.
And also, 100%. Like, I liked Saul as a character before. We got a whole bunch of new characters in Better Call Saul. I mean, like, I fell in love with Nacho for some reason. Because I loved his character. And
his eyelashes.
He has such long eyelashes, though, hun. Like, that's insane behavior. Like, they look so long. And for some reason, every shot of that character, he has a side profile. And you see, like, his eyelashes sticking out a good foot away from his head. But the moment I said that, Gage immediately noticed them in every single shot after it. So there's something there. I'm cooking on that one. I noticed something. I don't know what it was, but yeah. But do you have any last words about Better Call Saul or anything you want to talk about that we didn't talk about, hun?
I would just say if you're at all interested in lawyers or just TV shows in general, watch Better Call Saul.
Yeah. Well, where can you watch it?
I believe it should be on Netflix. I'm pretty sure Netflix just basically bought the rights to all of Gilligan's shows.
Oh, so it's on Netflix now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we did watch a good few on Netflix, huh? And then...
Well, we were watching it as it came out, so we had to use the AMC Plus thing.
Yeah, because it was still coming out. Like, we eventually caught up to it before it ended. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess get a Netflix subscription, guys, if you don't already have one for some reason. I can't even talk. Technically, I can't even have Netflix. I use other people's Netflix. Okay. But as we are wrapping this up and we are done, I want to thank you again, hon. Thanks to my guest, Billie Holiday.
Yippee!
It was very nice to talk to you about shows and all that stuff. And thanks to everyone who is listening / watching. I don't know what you are doing, but thank you for hearing us talk for about almost 45 minutes of Better Call Saul. And that's it for me on Spoiler Alert. Next episode, we are going to talk about the ending of the My Hero Academia comic, as that just dropped for anyone wanting to see about that. Huge jump, very different things. And spoiler alert, he loses his quirk at the end of it. So what was this for? Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys on our next episode of Spoiler Alert.